Okay, so the NBA has announced a structure and a format to the 2021 season. We've been waiting for this. I think the NBA, they finally got their results on what they're gonna do. They have a lot of questions that have been unanswered. They finally answered in this article, released by NBA. So basically, so basically, to start off, we know that they're playing 72 games this season, and we know that it's the season's going to start December 22nd. They're going to have Christmas games. We know all that because we talked about it already. Now, this is a lot of information that you're going to have to actually remember. I'll try my best. I'll try my best to go through it as smoothly as possible, so you can also remember it as well. But there's a lot of information, so let me just start by reading it. So each team will play 3 games against each intra-conference opponents. That's 42 total games per team, with each pairing featuring either 2 home games and 1 road game, or 1 home game and 2 road games. Within each team's division, the league office is randomly assigned which 2 opponents will be played twice at home, and which 2 will be played twice on the road. All 5 teams from within the division will play all 5 teams from one other intra-conference division twice at home, and all 5 teams from the remaining intra-conference divisions twice on the road. Each team will play 2 games against each inter-conference opponent. That's 30 total games per team, with each pairing featuring 1 home game and 1 road game. The 2021 regular season schedule will be released in 2 segments. The schedule for the first half of the season will be released around the start of training camp. The schedule for the second half of the season will be released during the later part of the first half portion of the schedule. Second half schedule will include a remainder of each team's 72 games not scheduled in the first half, as well as any games postponed during the first half that can reasonably be added to the second half schedule. All-Star break will All-Star break is scheduled to take place March 5th between March 5th and March 10th of 2021, between the first half and the second half of the regular season. Early Early today, the NBA Board of Governors unanimously approved a proposal to implement a playoff play-in tournament on a one-year basis for the 2020-21 season. The play-in tournament, which will take place after the regular season and before the first round of the playoffs, will include the teams with the seventh highest through the 10th highest winning percentages in each conference. The teams with the seventh highest and the eighth highest winning percentages in each conference will each have 2 opportunities to win 1 game to earn a playoff spot. The teams with the ninth highest and the 10th highest percentages of each conference will each have to win 2 consecutive games to earn a playoff spot. At the conclusion of the regular season, the team with the seventh highest winning percentage of each conference will host the team with the eighth highest winning percentage in its conference in the play-in game, the 7-8 game. The winner of the 7-8 game in each conference will be the seventh seed in the playoffs for its conference. The team with the ninth highest winning percentage in each conference will host the team with the 10th highest winning percentage in the conference in a play-in game, the 9-10 game. The loser of the 7-8 game will host the winner of the 9-10 game in the play-in game, and the winner of that game will be the 8th seed in the playoffs for its conference. All right, I know that's a lot for you to process, Nate. There's a little bit more. There's some dates here that you might want to talk about. So they will have a preseason, so that is good, especially for young players. That preseason will start December 11th through the 19th of 2020. December 22nd, 2020, March 4th of 2021. That's the first half of the regular season. March 5th between the 5th and the 10th of 2021. That's All-Star break. March 11th between 11th and the 16th I'm sorry, March 11th between March 11th and May 16th of 2021. Sorry, I read that wrong. That's the second half of the end of the regular season. May 18th through the 21 of 2021 will be the play-in tournament, and then May 22nd through July 22nd of 2021 will be the 2021 NBA playoffs. So Nate, here's what I'll do. Since there was a lot of information there, whatever you remembered or whatever caught your ears, just feel free to speak it out and give an opinion. We'll start with that.
Um, well, first of all, I'm glad they're having a preseason because I think that's something the NFL had a very big mistake for, especially with their newly incoming rookies. They didn't have a preseason, and again, I've been one to theorize that the NFL not having a preseason and a very short training camp is the reason for all these injuries that are happening in the NFL. There's just so many of them in comparison to other years. So I think the NBA did a good on that. They're doing good with the training camp. At least they kept that. I will say though that the preseason is very short. But then again, you can't really blame them because you got the draft today, and then in the weeks to come comes the preseason because next week is Thanksgiving, and after that, everything's gonna start going up again. Um, as for the All-Star game thing, which is another thing that caught my eye, how is that gonna work again?
Yeah, so the AllStar Weekend is from March 5th to March 10th of 2021, and then March 11th through May 16th will be the second half of the regular season.
All right, yeah. So I mean, they did a decent job working around what they had. Again, 72 game season. Like you and I said, with that they want to try and end the season before the end of June, which the month after we all know is going to be the Summer Olympics that was supposed to happen this summer, which never did due to the pandemic. Um, I mean, we're going to see how it's going to play out. Personally, I don't have a necessarily like definitive opinion on it just yet. But like as of right now, I mean, I'm just glad they have a preseason because I think they're going to succeed where the NFL failed. And I think no that I think I'm not sure if they took notes from the NFL's failures, but if they did, props to them.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to take a little bit from what they did in the bubble, put it into this season.
Yeah,
Obviously, with between the intra-conference games with 42 and the inter-conference games with like 30, I think it was, or something like that. Obviously, it's kind of hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's kind of hard that we'll have probably some more COVID tests than they did in the bubble, considering it was in one place and they still
yeah,
have to travel. But like, I can see how they're getting, I can see how they're trying to make sure that they do have actual home and away games, that I can see how they're trying to actually, play in different types of arenas and travel. As for I think personally the 7-8 game, I think that's a good idea.
yeah. I
Having
think
the
it is
two
too.
sets play two games, you got to win 2 out of 3, which would mean the loser of those 2 out of 3, you could be the 7 seed, but you could still lose to the 8 seed, and then the loser of the 2 out of 3 game has to play the winner of the 9-10 game. And it makes the 9-10, and you know what I'm saying? It makes like, in a way, it's not like, oh, congratulations, you have the 8 seed, and the 8 seed is like a 500 team or below. You know how it works. Obviously, that's especially for the East.
Yeah,
Where the East obviously is not as good as the West, and the East teams end up having like, and the East teams like the 8 seed East teams have like a losing record. So now it kind of gives them more of like you have to fight more in order to get that spot. You know.
yeah,
And
right.
so that's what it gives. It gives the 9 and 10 teams a second chance, but it also gives them a harder path. And I think that's exactly what they need. And
Yeah, I
so
agree.
that's a good idea. The 9-10 teams, they have to win 2 consecutive games, not just 2 out of 3, but 2 consecutive. So one team could play, they can win, and the next game they can win, and the next game they can win. The only problem I have with that, I like the idea, but the only problem I have with that is how long is it going to take for one of these teams 2 consecutive games? Because
Yeah,
if it
yeah,
takes longer, if it ends up taking a long process, it might end up delaying the season through June. It possibly could. No, it's unlikely, but there's a possibility it could happen. And if that happens, then it's going to be a problem. Then it could probably be a problem for all the NBA players that are going to the Olympics.
yeah, right.
But it's going to be an exciting season this year. I mean, obviously Kevin Durant's coming back. If you want to stay with the Nets, Kyrie Irving's healthy. They got a new coach. Bradley Beal's coming back, which is something exciting to see. Maybe John Wall's coming back. So like with these rookies, it might get exciting. We're finally gonna have Zion for a full season, opposed to like him sitting out some games or sitting out minutes. We get to see year 2 of John Morant and like all these other good players. So
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be an exciting season. Honestly, respect to the NBA for trying to make it work. We're gonna see if it works. My prediction is I think it'll be successful, but I think I think there'll be more COVID cases,
yeah, I
and
agree.
this is something that I think this is more of like an experiment than anything to see what goes on. But I don't really see a big problem going on here. I trust Adam Silver.
I do too.